Hello Natroners, and welcome back to another episode of VFX with Natron. So today we're going to be looking at making a character that can be, well, we're not going to make a character, we're going to rig a character inside of Natron for puppet animation. What character are we going to be rigging today? Well, it's a good question because, finding the right character can be difficult. But today I decided the best way to do it is to ensure that everybody can get one. And the best one for our purposes is going to be this one right here. So this little character is part of synfig. And you can see the URL there. And I'll post a link to it inside of the chat after this is all done. Anyhow, what we're going to do is we're going to basically download that. We can download it from the site, and then when we get it, we're going to bring it in and make sure that it's going to look like this. And so the big question, oh wait a minute, this is the wrong one. I'm sorry, I got the wrong one. There were two versions of it I had gotten. This is the one we want right here. All right, so you'll see that, first of all, if you get the right one, which is this one, which I will provide the link to this one again, you'll notice it has an alpha channel in it. If we go here and hit A, we can see its alpha channel. It's not a great character. There's lots of... It's really badly... Whoever painted this did a really rushed job. But anyway, it'll suit our needs. So, what's the first thing we need to do? Well, the first thing we need to do is look at this and say to ourselves, what are the parts? Okay, this is already pre-broken down, but if you have a situation where you need to animate part of somebody, you need to make sure that you have access to the bits you want to animate. You can't make, for example, if an arm is behind a person and not visible or only partially visible, you're not going to be able to animate the entire arm unless you reconstruct it. So this is a thing. You need to make sure when you start with puppet animation, you have all the bits and pieces, especially if you're using photos of people, that you have all the right bits. So that's why we're starting with this, is because it is already preset and designed, and it's also broken up for the most part. We're actually going to do a little bit of extra breaking up. But we're going to also talk about two things, and the two things are, we learned a few weeks ago about warp field distortion, and one of the limbs, I'm going to make one of the arms a warp field, and warp field is a lot more complicated, but it's really, it can provide a different look for it. If you want to really get into doing warp field based manipulation, it would get really, really complex really, really quickly. But the key thing is that you can use warp field in conjunction with a segmented animation, which is what we're going to be doing the vast majority of the character in. As the main, you can use the segmented to do the big core animations and get everything moving around and so forth, and then use warp fields to sort of tweak the little bits and so forth to get the stuff. Anyhow, I'm babbling on. I know. The first thing we need to do is focus on rigging this. So we have currently, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces to this, but we also, I don't like the fact that the arms and legs are just solid masses, so we're going to actually break those up into 2 additional things. So we're going to have a total of 11 parts. So that means we need to create areas, and that means our node graph is probably going to get a wee bit complex. So the first thing we should think about doing is organizing this in some way. So my feeling is, and this is not even getting into cleaning up, there's all this garbage in here. You know what, before we do anything else, let's do a little garbage cleanup, because I really don't like garbage all over this. So what we're going to do is we'll put let's put a merge node down here, set it so that this comes in as A, and then we're going to put a roto over here. You could use a roto draw, but I don't recommend roto draws. They can get there's a lot of finickiness to roto draws. So you'll notice that our roto, if we attach it to the mask channel, we lose our character. That's because we have it pumped into the wrong area. I'm going to keep my roto unconnected until I've wiped out the bits. So roto is just a masking system inside here. We're set up, we just click over here. We have all the controls for dealing with it up here. Make sure we're on the first frame. Otherwise, it can be a pain in the rump to set things up, and we don't want to do that. We want to make this as nice and easy as possible. So, first thing we're going to do is click on this, make sure we have it set to this, which is, what is that called? If we right-click it, it's just called the Bezier tool. All right, so we're going to just click down here, click over here, up like that, and then up here, over, down. I'm just going to block out this bit here. I want to make that into a mask, and then I'm going to make another mask up here with, excuse me. I want to, where are you? Why am I not? There we go. We want that on all endpoints. All right, we're going to create another one. So we click on this again, click here. We'll just quickly try and get around some bits. I don't want to spend too long, but I don't want this to be so cluttered with crud that we are having floaty bits floating around in our final animation. We'll do another one over here for this bit. Is there anything above it? No, we'll just quickly do that. And there's one right there too. All right. So just looking at this, there's a few very dark pieces in here. Don't know if they're showing up on the web stream, but they're there. All right, I think we've made more or less got all the bits masked. So we've taken and made this mask. All we got to do is plop that in and apply it, and then tell it that we want to invert the mask so that we don't see it, and then we'll just disable that. Now we have a nice clean image of our character to work with. All right, so the second thing we need to do is we need to make areas, as I said. So I want to think of this. What we're going to do is try and organize our node graph in a similar fashion to the layout of this character. So what I want is the head at the top, and then I want an area. So I'm going to actually make just little... I don't know that these, we're going to have to adjust this, but we're going to use these things called backdrops. And backdrops are in this other section of the nodes. And you just click on other, and you click on backdrop, and we can add a backdrop in. And where'd our backdrop go? Oh, there's our backdrop down behind our viewer, which is not where we want it. And so people are aware what a backdrop is. You put a node inside the backdrop and you drag it around. You can drag all nodes inside of a backdrop around as a group, which is great for organizing, and we can name them. So we're gonna, for the sakes of backdrops, because I don't feel like I'm gonna duplicate this backdrop 11 times. I'm gonna make, let's see, we're gonna put one. We'll just Alt-C this over here, then Alt-C it over here, and then we'll Alt-C it here. Let's see, we'll put it. I'm just gonna make the layout, not worry about what it says at this point. I just want to make sure I'm getting it. So this is going to be the head, this is going to be the body, this is going to be the upper arm. This down here is going to be, whoops, excuse me, need to actually select it. Okay, there we go. Select that. Lower arm, other lower arm. Then we need a pelvis, which is going to be here. Then we need upper thigh, another upper thigh, lower leg. Actually, we're going to add two more. I forgot about the, we'd have to do also the feet. We need to make it so that the feet move. So, Alt-C. All right, there we go. We have this layout here. And we're going to work on each one individually, and we're going to just run it as we come down. And you're saying to yourself, holy cow, that's complicated. That's the whole reason we're organizing this. This is why it's a two-part episode, is because this is going to take a little while to set up. All right, so we're going to go into our first backdrop, and the first thing I want to do is rename our backdrop. So let's rename this backdrop. We're going to call this head 1, and we're going to give it a color. We're going to make it a color so that it's nice and easy. Now, one of the things I'll highly recommend doing, because it's organizationally helpful, is to, especially when we're mirroring stuff or we're attempting to look at a lot of times we can take information we've got on one side of the animation and apply it to the other side of the animation, but we need ways of identifying it. So we're going to color code things, both the nodes and the backdrop, so that they help us organize things. So the things in the center of the body, we're going to keep them sort of a yellowish color. I'm going to keep it bright and sort of, actually, I might keep it dark yellow. All right, we'll make it a nice dark yellow. There we go. Head is dark yellow. And for the head, what are we going to do? All right. Most of this is going to be the same thing. In fact, we probably could have just duplicated it after we created the initial thing. Whatever. Not going to worry. We can always... It's not that hard. So we're going to do a merge node. Okay. And we're going to, instead of the merge node coming into the B for the background, we're going to connect it to the A. And then we're going to create a roto off to the side. We're going to put here, we're going to hit tab, roto, and we're going to put that roto right here. And we're going to double click that roto to make sure it's available and visible. And what we're going to do is frame our head. And simply, we can just, for the purposes of this, we'll make a rectangle. Right like that, nice and quick. And there we go. And then we can take it and put it in. And when we view it, now you can see our viewer shows that it's just our head. So there's our first bit. Problem now is, of course, that we've cut it off from our viewer node, so we need to actually kind of go around this. So I'm going to actually put this off to the side, hit a period here so that this can come down like this, connect up to that. So the head sits off to the side right here. Now, we also want to have it so that we're going to make this a little wider so that it will store the roto to the side of it. And out of this, we're going to need something. We're going to transform the head. We need a way of manipulating it so that it can move around. So for now, what we're going to do is we're going to put a transform node underneath it, and the way all we have to do to get this is move the pivot point, which is the center point, up to where the neck is going to be. So we can just take it and go over the Y, which is a vertical, and just scroll this up like so, and sort of center it somewhere in there. We'll play with it until we get it more or less centered. I don't want it to be too far down. That's probably good enough for our needs. All right, so there's the first one, and as we can see, if I grab the rotation, I can grab this and rotate it, and we can see I can rotate the head around this pivot point. But for now, we're going to just set that. We're going to reset the rotation to 0, and then we're going to go down and we're going to hook up the body. We're going to grab that, go hit 1 to connect that in there. Next part is the body. We're going to bring this out. Again, take the backdrop, select this backdrop, double click it, change it from backdrop to body 1. All right. And we're going to also make this one a yellow. We're going to make it that dark yellow. There we go. Because that is our next piece. And we're going to also put a dot here, and we're going to create a merge node. We'll just merge, and also a rotoscope, a roto off of it. We're going to make this a little wider so we can fit that roto in there nice and easy. And we'll just type roto. And we're going to put the roto into the mask. Actually, no, we're not going to do the roto, put the mask in yet, because we need to be, I want to have this visible again. So we're going to make, select this. We're going to just go here to box, and we're going to drag a box around this, and I've pushed it too high, so I'll just grab that upper point and bring that down and bring that down, and make sure we have it just enough so that when we hook the roto in, that oh yes, we are doing, we have this is currently set to the background. We want to make sure that its A is connected to it so that we get alpha. We're rotating to the alpha, and then we want to, of course, hit T for transform. So there we go. We have a transform there. Our second piece is done. All right, so the next part is the pelvis. We're going to go over here, and we're going to be basically go up to this, and we're going to put, it's basically rinse and repeat. We're going to do this a few more times. We're going to just put in pelvis there. Oops, pelvis 1. Doesn't have to be capped. That's fine. We can, though, probably not bad to stick with Natron naming conventions. So we'll just for Natron, we'll keep it capital P, so it sticks to the conventions. All right. One more time. Hit period. Oops, we don't want to connect up there. We want to be there. Bring this down. Again, merge node. Not the B. We want the A input. We want to roto. Tab roto. And then we're going to take this roto, and we're going to go and box in our pelvis area. Oh yes, we didn't set up the transform point, but for the torso, but that's okay. We'll deal with that in a little bit. Just go over our pelvis. Wait a minute. Hold on. I've got the right part, right? Yes. All right. We may put that into the mask. There we go. All right. Good. Put that up. Put that there. Hit T for a transform. Let's bring that down so that it's centered with it. Boom, boom, boom. Probably good enough right there. Might change it around a little later. The good news about this technique, what we're doing right now is we're dealing with these. This is currently a segmented character. I mentioned that we're going to be working with two different types of animation. One is going to be segmented, which is what this is set up to by default, but this is pre-cut segments. And the other thing is going to be, of course, warp fields, which is what we did the other day when we did the face. So these are all segmented. You can see they're broken up into segments. And we're just putting the rotation points where we think they're going to be operating from. So I'm going to go back here and just view this and make sure that I'm going to just hide that so it doesn't confuse me. I want to, the torso is going to be rotating from down near the pelvis area, so we'll probably want to bring this down a little bit further. Probably, oh, I don't know. That might be good. All right, we're good there. I'm going to make... You know what? For the arm, we're not going to even need the second warp field. We're going to do the warp field over here on the right arm because the right arm is going to be the easier arm to show warp field. Let's get the rest of the rig set up for manipulation. We need to. We're first going to set up all the segments, and then we'll work on the warp field as and get them all positioned properly, and then we'll do the warp field afterwards. And I think, yeah, we'll work on this. All right, so I'm going to make the left arm blue. So this is going to be the left side because it's the character's left, not our view's left. This is the character's left. So we're going to say this is going to be left arm, left upper arm, upper arm. All right. And yeah, we should probably not use spaces. That's probably bad habit. Left upper arm, not arm 1. There we go. Left upper arm 1. And we're going to make that again. I said to make it a bluish. We're going to make it that blue right there, so it's nice and pretty. And of course, we need a place to connect it to, so we're going to just drag this down, and we're going to fit it between the head and the body. That's where we're going to weave it into this whole situation. And what we're going to do is we're going to put over here, we're going to put a merge node. Make sure, put your, hopefully this is going to put a merge node right below my cursor, which is right inside of our left upper arm. We're going to take our A, connect it into that point, pull it up a little bit so it's right there, sort of make spice it out. Pop a roto. Let's view this first of all. Hit 1 to view it, then tab, roto. Oh no, this is tedious, but is what it is. So we're gonna again go to a rectangle tool, drag around this. There we go. Take the mask, put it in here, and there we go. We have that. We want to also we're gonna have add a transform to that, and we need to position this. All right, so we need to put the transform so it's over around the center, and we want to put it up at the shoulder area of the body. And let's pull this back and over just a little bit, and we'll keep it nice and round, and we'll set that to 35 so it's nice and centered. All right, so this one we're actually with it, because this is segmented, and I want to make a lower arm and an upper arm so we don't have to use distortions to distort this particular one. What we're going to do is zoom in here, and we're going to actually decide where we're going to actually create a second layer to our roto here. And what we're going to do is, while we're here, we're going to just drag a second box down around the bottom, and we're going to just go like, oh, about like that. All right, then we're going to with the manipulator, what we're going to do is just pull this in till it's very close. Pull this in till it's very close. So we want to put this around the elbow area. All right, and then we're going to pull this out and just blossom it out like so. So it's like a cone, sort of like a cone moving in towards the elbow. And then we're going to grab the other one. And by the way, we want to name these in here. We're going to call this. This is the lower or forearm. We'll call it lower. Just because I think lower arm, and this can be called upper arm. All right, and though it doesn't matter, they don't have to be named the same as what we have in out here, because these are localized to inside of this node. So for the upper arm, what we're going to do is we're going to bring this up and match it to that part of the cone so that it overlaps right like that, and then just bring this down around like so. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go over to this plus, and we're going to add a new control point into the center of this, and we're going to get one of the two splines. I don't know which one. We're going to just add a dot, and then we're going to select it, make sure we select it, have the selection tool, and we select it, and let's see, I think that is, yeah, that's the upper arm. We can see, yep, it's the upper arm. And we just need it to be sort of rounded here. We want to round it out. And we're basically going to be making a ball-like shape. Now, no matter if you ever do segmented animation with 2D things, it doesn't matter whether it's a cartoon or a real thing, you want to make balls for the joints. And the reason for that is we're going to be rotating. We're going to put the pivot at the center point of that. All right, so we're going to select this bottom one, and we're going to add a point to the center of that one as well. And then we're going to pull that up like so. So we get something sort of spherical. All right. And we'll pull it up a little bit more. That ought to be more than enough. This might be overkill, might not be good enough. We may have to tweak this later. But for right now, that's what we need. All right. So that's what our new, what this roto node looks like. And the reason we had to do that is, again, we only have one arm. So what we're going to do over here is right in here, we're going to grab this and put a point right here. I did that by holding down control and clicking in the middle of that. Let me just show again. I'm going to hold down the control, and when I hold down control, it allows us to see these little dots. I'm going to put a little dot right there between this dot and this merge node so that I can make a new branch. And then down here, you know what? I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to just duplicate this. Oh, copy, this entire, I selected the upper left arm and I duplicated it, and it made left upper arm 2, which has the exact same information. And what we're going to do is change it from left upper arm 2 to left lower arm. Let's just change that from upper to lower. Lower arm 2. Yes, left lower arm 1, excuse me. Sorry, not 1, 2. We want it 1 to 8. There we go. That should work. All right, and let's see. And that gave us the same roto. All right, and there's a good the reason we want this to match is that we want both of these to be identical. I could, you don't want to clone these because otherwise you have to. It gets roto nodes get weird if you clone them. So, but we want them both to look identical. Again, we want to take the input of this, the B input of this merge node, and we want to hook it up over here. And we'll just, I'm not going to worry about it. I don't mind it branching like that down to here. We know where that it's coming down there. I want to keep it there just so, I think I might push this over a little bit so that this all merges together. When we merge this, I want to do the merging of this somewhere in here. I got to think about exactly whether I want the merging to be up above or down below, but we're going to be having to combine these two together and manipulate them. All right. So I've got to decide. I think actually we may just take, I think we actually might just take, you know what? I think we might just put try this. All right. We're going to play first. First things first. Let's make sure we have our transform there. We need to go down to here to this transform, which is the lower or the lower arm, and we're going to move it to basically the elbow. So we need to make sure that we have our roto visible, this roto visible, and we want to grab that pivot point and we want to bring it down to the center of this. So we're going to just grab this 40 here. Well, I don't know if you can see that. I'm gonna, oh, this is tricky. All right, what we're gonna do, I realize, all right, I'm gonna double click on this transform here so we can see it. I want you guys to be able to see it. I realized my head might have been covering it. So we're gonna drag this down until it's approximately the center of this, and we can use the sphere that's, or the circle, excuse me, not a sphere. We can use this circle as our reference guide, the circle of the elbow area. All right, so there we go. And so just so we can see what that's going to do is if we go to rotate and we start rotating this, we can rotate it around. And you're saying, geez, Bill, it's rotating around the entire arm. Actually, that's why we can't do it like that. Right, we have to do this there. Oops, we got to do, sorry, we got to take that in like that. And what we need to do is over here, we need to, let me think about this for a minute. Right. What we need to do, hold on. I think we may actually want to reverse these. Well, I didn't organize this as well in my original one when I was setting this up for today. So, all right. Let's talk about this. All right, so we don't want here, this is the upper arm, so we don't want the lower arm visible. So here in our rotoscope, we're going to just click on the eyeball here and disable the lower arm here. And then for the lower arm, which is down here, we want to double click on its roto node, which is basically the same thing, and then just turn off the upper arm here. And then what we need to do is merge the result of these two, but we want the upper arms transform to drive this. So we actually are probably going to, this is going to look a little weird. Yeah, this is definitely going to look a little weird. We're going to take this, we're going to move this dot up a little bit for the moment so that we can get A2. And we're going to take A2 and we're going to just connect it in here. Like so. All right, we've connected it to the transform down there. And if I'm not mistaken, in our M, clearly. Oh no, it's not going to work. We can't do that. Or take it back. What we need to do is add... All right, let me think about this. We need to add a merge node. The problem right now is that this is cutting out our merge. So what we need to do is actually, before this transform here, we need to add another merge node. All right, so we're going to hit M, put a merge node in there. And now we're going to just disconnect that and then take A, connect it in there. And there we go. All right. So again, this roto, let's see what's happening here. Why did we need that? This roto is handling the upper arm, is basically blocking out that upper arm bit. But the shoulder is going to be driving both the upper arm and the lower arm at the same time. So we need, before the transform for the upper arm, for the shoulder, we need to merge the lower arm back into it. So right here, that's what this does. That takes the output of our lower arm, which is our rotational output, and we'll just organize this. But whoopsie, let's drag that down like that, and let's. We need to grab. If you control, by the way, and drag on the background or on the backdrop, you'll see that we can reposition it even though other nodes are inside of it. That way, it doesn't matter. All right, so I'm going to have it like that. I'm going to grab this, pull it up like that, so it comes in here. So it's a little more organized. That way, yes, it's backtracking. It's not, makes the node graph a little more complex, but it's still organized. All right, so this comes out and back up here to feed this. All right, so again, this is the lower arm. We're currently only viewing it down here. And the reason this transform allows us to rotate that. And if we view the transform for the upper arm, and while rotating the lower arm, this is the lower arm's transform here. And we can, well, anyway, we're going to, we should label this with lower arm. Right there, and we should put. We're not going to color code it because we know that we're not going to. Excuse me, we're not going to put the word. Actually, 1 second. We're going to put a return there, so it's two lines, lower arm like that, so we can actually read it here. And for this one, we're going to put in its node info. We're going to put upper arm, upper. Whoa, too many P's. Upper arm. All right, and there we go. All right, so there we go. So this is the upper arm, lower arm. Actually, we should probably just call this, instead of upper arm, just arm or shoulder. Actually, that's a better way of putting it. That way we're not thinking of it as an arm. Shoulder. There we go. All right, so this is this transform for the shoulder, and this is the transform for the lower arm, or forearm, depending on how you want to look at it. Anyway, so if we rotate, if we go back to the shoulder transform, and we take that and we click on its rotate and we rotate it, we can see that we can rotate around this. Now, obviously, we've got a problem here with our lower arm. When we rotate this around, let's go back to our rotate. Let's rotate this a nice solid 90 degrees. 90 degrees, and we can see that this isn't rotating exactly the way we want it to. It's not centered well. So we need to actually adjust this. So we're just gonna take the Y value. I know it looks weird and offset, but believe it or not, just by pushing this Y value up and down, you can see that it's moving the position of it. So we want to push it down. And Y, oh Y on the correct one? Yes, that should have been lower arm. Why is that when I'm doing it here? Why is it? Let's zero this for a second. That is very odd. I think we actually moved it. I did. Oh, let's set this to, wait a minute, 35. That's weird. It should have been 235. Let's just set this back to 235. Oh, come on now, Natron. Why are you... This was working differently than it currently is. It should be rotating us. I want to get that so it is very close to the top. And when we go over here, when we rotate this, let's just make sure, I want to make sure I'm on the lower arm, which it is. When I rotate it, it's rotating it too far up. All right, we're going to take our let's see, we may oi. Let's zero this. I don't like where it's rotating from. It's not rotating the way I want it to. So we're going to just play with this a little bit. I'm going to move it over to the side. Maybe this will help it a little bit more. Let's see if that helps it a little bit. That's helping it a little bit. Let's see if lowering it a little bit. And then moving it over some. All right, we're going to move it over to the side and up, down. We want it, basically what we're going to do is keep adjusting this until we get it so that it rotates around the spot we want it to for the arm. All right, let's see how that rotates as far as... All right, we've got something. I don't like that. That's the pivot point it wants to give us. That's all right. I'm not horrible. That's not a horrible spot. It's not great. Let's see. We can tweak this a little bit more. Pull that up. Up. Let's pull this back. And pull this. Nope. Like 47. There we go. I think 204. All right, there we go. I think we've got a good spot right there. We've got it segment. Oops. Sorry, I twisted off of the thing. So there we go. We can, as we rotate this, we're getting something that rotates roughly around there. It's not perfect, but we're going to live with it because it is what it is. And we're going to get a decent enough looking segmented part. We could clean this up by pushing things around a little bit more if we wanted to. Not going to worry too much at this point. All right, that's good enough for this arm. We're going to zero this out. We'll animate this. I might clean it up in post when I post it. I want to make sure we get through rigging the entire thing because there's other things we need to get past first. But basically, you need to adjust it until you get it to the point where you want it to be what basically constitutes the elbow. Now, understand, if we don't move it that far, if we're not moving it an entire 90 degrees, we could move this to a different position and have it work. We're not going to be moving it too far today. I think, actually, because we're not going to move it too far, I think I want to move it back a little bit this way. No. Let's see. No. I think we want to... This is so weird. It's not acting what I was expecting it to act like. But that's okay. I'm not too worried. We can just make it work. We'll make it work. We work with what we've got. All right. Oh, I think I know why we're... Oh. I think... I'm not going to worry. We're going to keep moving. I think this is acting weird because I forgot that in the original one I defined an ROD, and I think that I offset everything before I did the actual animation, which may have changed the way it works. Anyway, this is still going to work. It's going to work fine. You can do it either way. This is going to just mean that we can't animate it too far No, that's not good. I want to be... I really don't like how this is animating. Bah. Alright, this is going to have to do. It's just going to have to do. We're going to leave it be. I apologize for this. I will double check my my final project again later. Alright, before we continue, let me make sure I'm on the right thing. I've got my pelvis down here. Alright, so the other arm, what we're going to do is we're going to use a warp field. Let's see. Oh my goodness, we're not even going to get through this. This may be a three-parter after all, because this has taken so long just to set up the first bit. I wanted to demonstrate that. I will probably go through and tweak it, and I'll pull it up on Monday, and we'll make this, fix that one part. I want to get this other arm done. Let's make sure this is colored so that it's correct. Color that with this bit, and bah. All right, so here we're going to use a warp field on this side to do its animation, and we're going to bring it off in the same way. But for the right side, for the right arm, we're just going to call this right arm 1, so that it's there. And we're going to in here we're going to put a merge node. Again, we're going to bring it over. We're going to use the B. We're going to keep it. We're going to put a little point there and have it come in from slightly above so that we can have a roto off to the side here. And then we're going to put a roto. We need to put a roto in here. I'm going to hit roto, put the roto in here, double click. And, whoops, we need to make sure we're viewing that. And for our roto, what we want to do is isolate the arm. Now, in this case, we need to make sure that that the area is bigger than our arm and is going to encompass the entire warp field area. So what we need to do is just click down here. We want to click. Wrong thing. Click on this, or create a bezier, and we want to click here, click down here, click over here. I'm going to just put around. Want to make sure I give myself plenty of room. So the thing is, the arm's not going to go past the elbow. We're going to just be bringing the arm in this way. So it's not going to be, we don't need to worry about it flexing too much in the opposite direction. But we do want to make sure when we start messing with a warp field that we don't warp the leg into this. All right, so we're isolating it. So then what we're going to do is take and pipe the mask in to there. And why are we not seeing? Oh, because we've got the B going in here as opposed to the A. So there we go. Now we've isolated the arm. All right, so now we're going to put in some warp field. So as you might remember, to do a warp field, what we need to do is we actually are going to need an eye distort at the end of this. So let's create a what I'm going to do is over here, I'm going to just right where my cursor is, I'm going to put a tab, and I'm going to hit eye distort, and we're going to put the source is going to go straight up here. I think no, our source is going to go into this. I'm just realizing, you know what? We're going to put this there. Put our roto over here to this side, because I'm realizing I'm going to have my eye distort down here. Thinking about this. Yes, and then I want to over here, between here, I'm going to hit a period, and we're going to we've put a solid in here because we need a solid that takes on the shape of this. So we're going to put a solid over here. Solid. And remember, the solid is the base for the warp field. This is our warp field base. Then we're going to put at the end of a warp field nodes, we're going to put an add. So we're going to hit tab and put an add. All right. and then we're going to feed the add into our eye distort. All right, and between the solid, we're going to put in this case, we're going to put in one radial node. We're going to use one radial here, and this first radial is going to do is this first. Well, we're going to put it in for right now. This is going to be called a stretchy node. We're going to be using it because I'm going to show a problem we're going to run into with the next one. So we're going to, and this is why warp fields get more complicated. We're going to put in a radial. All right, radial. There it is, radial. And for our radial, we're going to just shrink our radial to fit our area. We're going to put it over the arm, and we're going to put it about the elbow, and then we want it to end. We want it to start off right around the elbow area because that's where we want it to start influencing. And we're going to put it just past the fingertips. All right, right about here. All right. And the reason, I'll explain why we're doing this. All right, first of all, we need to set up our eye distort. So let's double click on our eye distort and set the eye distort so that it's at 0.5. So 0.5 for the U, 0.5 for the V. And then we want to set the eye distort to 100, which is, as we can see, is pushing everything away, like so. And then the way we fix that is we take the value of our add and we add 0.5 to it, 5, and there we go. And something is not quite right here. Let me look at this. What is happening here? All right, our source comes in there. That plays our source, our solid. I think I don't want my... Wait a minute, no, that should be... Let me just verify something. Right. Oh, no, that's correct. Why is our solid... Our solid is 345, 410. We have a radial down there. We have it there. We're going to set our radial to be that. All right. Okay. That's the other thing. Right. So we need, right. Of course, a solid needs to be, big problem we face right now is that it's all one and we don't want any distortion at this point. So we don't have any distortion. So as I said, this is a stretchy. This is going to be pulling basically the arm towards this warp field. All right. So what that means is we're going to be pulling it towards the green. All right. So we want to pull it down. So basically we're going to be pulling it like that. All right. And you're saying to yourself, why are we pulling it in that general direction? Well, it's going to become obvious when we do the next bit. All right. We're going to create two warp fields. The second warp field is going to be the warp field that actually makes the arm bend. All right. And so what we're going to do is create right here, we're going to take the results of this warp field and we're going to feed it, the end of it, into another warp field. All right. And so we're going to say, we're going to type in eye distort. Get an eye distort there. Let me just look at my time. We're running a little late, but a little long. And as I said, we're going to do this, continue this again. We're going to add another solid. We're going to pipe that solid into the result, so it takes the result size. We're going to put a radial here. We could technically use the first one, but I want this to be clear. So as far as for the rate or for the solid, we could have used the original one. We want to put in a radial underneath it, and then we want to add to it, and then we want to pump the add into there. All right, so there we go. All right, we're gonna take our radial, we're gonna shrink it down to approximately the same size as our last one, which means we probably could have just cloned it, but that's okay. But for this one, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get this point off to the right here someplace. We're going to, again, make this around his elbow. And then we're going to put it off to the right here where I want the hand to pull towards. All right. And we may have to push this up and down a little bit. And I'll do that with probably the bottom because I want to keep the elbow there. All right. So then we, of course, need to zero out our distort, our eye distort. Let's set that to so that the alpha is 1. Also going to come up here to this one and make sure the alpha is 1. All right, so they're both black. And then we're going to go to our add and set the value to 0.5. And then go to our second eye distort, set its offset to 0.5 and 0.5. And then set this to 100. All right. So now we have it. 100. Remember, all 100 means is that it's going to pull whatever's in the warp field to the center point of It's going to pull at 100. It's going to pull whatever's in this radius, whatever's in the influence or close enough towards this point. So that's why we keep it at 100. This is our goal. All right. So, all right. So let's try and see what's going to happen. Let's increase this. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to obviously, we're moving it towards, or for you guys, no, it's going to be, gosh darn, no. I don't know. It's going to be that way. It's all screwy. My thingy is all flipped around. Anyway, it's going to be going towards, that way. It's easier when I see it relative. So we're going to push it that way. So we're going to be using the red. So how we're going to increase it or no, decrease it. All right, we've decreased it and we can see that this warp field is doing something weird. We've got it, so we want to get it to, it's about, that's looking all right. It's a bit harsh. I'm going to pull this down, pull this up. Nope, I don't want that up. I liked it down. Let's pull this down a little bit more. A little bit more, a little bit more. Aha, there we go. Pull that up, down. Just gonna keep tweaking this until I get something that looks like the arm has bent by adjusting the center point of my warp field till I get my target goal. Remember, this is what I want it to look like at the end. All right, and so the way, again, this is the goal. So what does that mean? That means that at the end, when I animate this, it's going to animate by pulling this back and forth. All right. So we can see it. It looks like that. Now, the problem we face, and I don't know, this might not be the best, the largest of movements. We may want to pull this a smidge further. I don't know. I want to play with this a little bit more. I think, oops, nope, I liked it better there. I want to try and get it so that this pulls in an upward. Oh, you know what? I know why it's not pulling in an upward fashion. We need to adjust, give it a little bit of negative on the green, because this isn't going straight out. Straight out. Nope, straight out. It's not going to go that way. Wait a minute. Nope, straight that way. It's not going to go that way. What it's going to do is it's going to go up. It's going to curve up. So we need to pull it upwards as well as over. So we need to add a little bit of green into this. And so let's add, and the way we're doing that is to pull it up with a little bit of negative green. All right, now I'm getting the upward motion. Let's see if we can readjust this. So I don't want to lose volume to this. That's the key right now. I want this to look correct, about the same volume the entire way, so that when I animate this, it animates holding the volume all the way. It should look almost perfect as it moves from one point to the other. All right, but the problem we see is that it isn't arcing. Our arms don't shrink when they move from when they move from point A to point B. We're doing a rotation. And as you rotate, what happens? The arm arcs. My hand will cause an arc. And we can't do that because this is going to move in a linear form from one point to the other. That is the whole reason we have this first one up here. All right. So let's just, for the sake of this, we're going to just do, let's go to 1. Let's see. At 1, I'm going to choose 0. Oh, you're not seeing that. You probably didn't see that. Oh, all right. I was animating this, and as I dragged it back and forth from 0 to 1, you can see it basically was moving in a straight line. All right, for this eye distort. That was probably behind my face before. And so that's why we use 2 warp fields. One is doing the actual movement, and the other one is going to be you doing the actual thing. All right, so let's see. We're going to say that we're going to move this for the time being, just because this is a test. We're going to set this to 12, or an increment of 12. At frame 1, we're going to just set it to set a key. We're going to 0 this mix value to out, set a key here. And then we're going to go 12 frames ahead, and we're going to set this to 1. All right. That way we can see the animation. We're going to move this in, and we can drag. We can move over it. And let's, just for the sake of this, you know what? I should have probably made that even further. I should have made it 24. Let me just think about this. Let me remove that key and go another 12 and just set the key here and then put that up to 1. All right. So we're going to make it so that it's basically 24 frames from the first frame to the last frame. All right. This is a very slow movement, but at frame 13, excuse me, frame 13, what we're going to do is we need to actually animate this distort, all right? Because if we watch this, let's go to here and change this from 250 to 25, all right? And then that way we're just looking at this, and we're going to hit play, all right? It's going to look weird at this point. And as we can see, it's warping towards it, and it's not the best warp in the world. You could tweak this more. But the thing we're noticing is it's not moving in an arc. It's moving in a line. All right. So to make this work and move in an arc, what we need to do is go back here, go back to frame the midpoint of between the two, and we need to animate the second eye distort. All right. And we're going to put into this one. We're going to set a key here. That's interesting. Wait a minute, that's not what I want. I don't want to animate the distort. I want to animate the radial. All right, so the radial, what we're going to do is set this up to 1. Whoops, 2. Actually, not 1. Wait a minute, what's going on here? Let's go back to this eye distort here. And we are going to do, let's see, -1? No, +1. All right, we do +1. Or positive 0.1 pulls this out to this point here. All right. So that's our goal. That's where we want this one to go to. All right. So if I go back to, I want to go to frame 0. I want to take my mix. I want to set a key and set it to 0. I want to go ahead 12 frames to the halfway point, halfway between the two. I want to set this up to the mix value up to 1. And I'm going to go 12 frames more, and I'm going to set it back to 0. So let's see what that does. All right. This is just looking at what this is going to be doing. All right. So what this is going to do is it's going to be making that arm pulse like that. And when we combine these two, if everything worked right, what we should start seeing is more of an archy motion to the whole thing. All right. And it's not working perfectly yet. And the reason it's not working is that our radials are not set correctly. And the way we do that is we simply go back to our midpoint, our center point on this, and we're going to just mess with these two radials and get them so that they line up better. And we'll just we'll pull this one down a little bit. So this is This is the out. Remember, this is the target goal for where it's going. All right. So we're moving it this way. Move it this way, maybe a little bit. And move it in this way. Let's see. So that it... there we go. All right. That's looking good. At the midpoint, I want it to stay nice and clean. Let's see what it looks like at the end. It looks a little bit squished. All right, so I might need to bring this over a little bit more. Let's try and get the volume this way. Let's try and... You know what? That probably means what I think I need to do is take my green value on here, and instead of 0.4, let's drop it down to a reasonable level where like 0.2 maybe. All right, that's looking better. All right, let's go back. That's looking a little weird here. Let's see if we can pull that back a little bit more, or maybe pull it that way so it's closer to the distortion. So let's see if we get started off at the beginning, go out here, and then end there. All right, so the distortion here is too much, so we got to... This is the crux of it. I think that at our halfway point, that one, oops, for the radial here, this radial here, this might be too much influence, so we're going to pull this back a little bit more. So I want it to arc just a smidge. All right, let's see if that looks pretty good at the midpoint. All right, let's see. So start looks there, 12 up. Let's see if that's good enough. It may be, this is probably still too heavy-handed. It is definitely too heavy-handed. All right, we're gonna go back to that frame and bring it back down a smidge more. And anyway, we'll keep it at 0.1 for right now. I think this is good enough to our call point at this point. So there's our, we're going to just call it there. That's good enough. We can see it just added a wee bit of a curve so that the tips of the fingers come out and then up. It's not that noticeable here, but if you want to deal with warp field, you'd have to play with this. This is the crux of using warp field for this particular purpose. Now, you can also use this for distortion correction, for fixing bits and pieces, pulling things around. It's much better for that type of thing. This is one of the reasons I say Natron is not ideal. Personally, I think if you have a good warping system inside of a 2D animation program, it works better. But from the standpoint of this, we've got to this point here so far, and we're going to just call it here for now. We're going to do this in however many pieces it takes to make this whole thing, because I want you to see it's a complex process. Let's save this. Make sure, let's save project as. Let's see. Whoops, that's not where I want to be. I think we want to be in here, which is, I'll have some pre-made bits, but we're going to call this puppet. Oops, not puppet underscore anim underscore live underscore 001, and this is where we'll pick up on Monday. All right. So I told, as I said, part 1. I thought part 2 is going to be actually animating it, but that'll be either part 3 or part 4, or however many parts it takes to get this done, because I want to make sure we get this working, and at least to a degree that we get the principles behind it and you understand. All right. That's it for right now. Thanks for watching. Till next time. Keep on Natron. Actually, you should be doing. Till next time, keep on Natroning.